Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. Each year, Franklin Wright Settlements in Detroit honors unsung heroes at its Spirit of Giving Awards Gala. The event recognizes these individuals for their commitment to helping children, families, and seniors achieve a better quality of life. Proceeds from the gala benefit the organization's many services and programs for young people. Joining me now is the president of Franklin Wright Settlements, Monique Marks, along with two of this year's honorees, family law attorney Maryann Bruder and Lou Harris Johnson, who has been a foster mother to more than 250 children. Welcome to American Black Journal, all three of you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Monique, tell us about how you choose each year these sort of unsung heroes that, and I think unsung is the right word. These are people that you don't read about in the newspaper or see on television all the time, but they're doing really important things in our community.
Well, absolutely. First of all, it's an honor to be here yet again, Stephen,
Yes,
to talk with you.
See you.
And because I love your show and it's amazing. Also, to sit with these two amazing women. It's not every day you find individuals that will open not just their homes, but their hearts to children, especially children who need additional care.
Yeah.
Even more so than, you know, children that we have. These children come with a lot of baggage sometimes. And so there's lots of barriers they have to overcome. But I've seen these women champion these children. And so you asked me how we select. It's people that come to our rescue at Franklin Wright Settlement every day and say, hey, I'll answer the call. Speaking of Lou Johnson, she had retired from fostering kids. She had her last batch, and she said, I'm getting tired. She let her license lapse, and I convinced her to reinstate her license to take in yet another couple of young ladies that desperately needed a home. So we choose them by the work they do, and we know because we work with them. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Maryann, being a family law attorney, I think of as one of the toughest jobs anywhere because you're not just dealing with the law or property or the kinds of other things that get caught up there. You're dealing with people and their lives, and you are dealing with children and their lives. Talk about your work and how important it is for you to be doing it.
Well, I think that the work is super important. I have the privilege of working as an independent contractor with the Michigan Children's Law Center, where I represent children who are abused and neglected in Wayne County. And I have the privilege to stand next to those young people as they champion through a lot of trauma in their lives. And we're able to successfully get some of them home, and sadly some of them not. But I get to watch them as they grow up. I get to represent them in court, but more importantly, I get to become their friend. And so that really is a blessing to me.
Yeah, it strikes me that I mean, as an advocate for children in particular, you see the ways in which the law and policy and practice don't really favor kids a whole lot here in Michigan right now. I feel like that's a really important issue.
Yeah, it is, and it becomes very difficult, and you have to figure out how to weave through the disparities between the law and what it gives to children. But I've been blessed to see some amazing children do some amazing things, even though they started off really rough at the beginning.
Yeah.
And also being a foster parent myself, an adoptive mother as well, that adds to it as well.
Yeah. So Lou Harris Johnson, 250 foster children. I mean, that number seems overwhelming, but of course they aren't just numbers. These are children who come to you really because it's sort of the last resort, right? I mean, they don't have other places to go, so you're dealing with all kinds of challenges. I mean, 250 could easily feel like 500 or 1,000.
Easily, very easily.
Yeah.
They come with all kind of different challenges, from ADH to kids just being thrown out of their homes, or I've had children given to me by their mothers couldn't take care of them anymore.
Yeah. And talk about what is it that makes this work right for you? What does it mean that says to you, this is what I should be doing? I mean, most people, even people who take in foster kids, don't get to that number. This means something different to you, I guess.
It does. When I was coming up, I lost my parents. And I lost my mother and my grandmother, and then my father couldn't take care of me because he was alcoholics. So when I got older, I said I wanted to do something for the children. I didn't do anything to give back. I did it to prevent them going through what I went through.
Yeah, yeah. Monique, talk about some of the other things that you guys do at Franklin Wright Settlements. I'm not sure most viewers even know what Franklin Wright Settlements is.
Well, starting off being the oldest human service agency in the country, we're very proud of that. But we start with early childhood education. So we have a child development center, and that center not only educates the parents, it educates the children and all of the caregivers in that child's circle so that they can grow up healthy and happy. We give them the tools necessary to make sure that they're successful in life. And then it goes through the lifespan all the way through seniors. We have senior center, we have after-school program, tutorial services, we have counseling, like when a lot of the families come to us through the court system, it's just a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And so we have specialized counselors that deal with trauma with children and trying to get them to learn how to cope with that trauma and still be successful. So we try to be a big warm blanket for the community, especially children, so that they'll become successful.
Right. Talk about how the work has changed in the short term and in the long term. I feel like things are not getting easier or better. Maybe they're getting a bit worse. Is that?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen in the last decade, first of all, preventative services have been pulled back. The funding is gone. So there's very few private nonprofits. And there's a lot of agencies, but they have very few resources. And so I don't know what happened to the prevention dollars, but they're very, very few and far between. So so the children that could have been helped at 5 years old, the help wasn't there. The safety nets weren't there, and so it just exasperated the problem. And so now we see this kid at 14, he's dropped out of school at 12, and so we have more serious issues to deal with. And so it's changed over the time because funding has shifted. And so you know, as I do, it's all about politics. What's the hot button item right now? And so preventative services, are just not there.
This is not favored.
Yes, absolutely.
If we could sort of push a button and fix a couple of issues with kids, what would that look like?
Well, I think really getting in there early and getting in there really intensive. I think, unfortunately, we have a tendency to put a Band-Aid on it rather than really fix the major issues, and then the children and the families continue to struggle with the same issues for many more years before really something horrible happens. And then all of a sudden we all jump in there. And I really think that, you know, something that Franklin Wright Settlement does is the preventative stuff and just having some of that stuff on very early on is really amazing and can really help the families and strengthen the families early rather than let these children get, you know, to be 10, 11, 12 and having these issues.
Strengthening families is something that I think we don't talk enough about. The idea that if you give that family support early on, you don't get to the space necessarily where you need a foster family. You know, that's a sort of last resort of all of this. Right.
And then unfortunately, once you need the foster family, then you have to give the services. And now it's been many more years of that family doing the same thing the same way. Instead of thinking about it, let's get in there early and change the ways that they're doing them so we strengthen them so you never need, you know, my services in terms of a foster parent or as an attorney guardian ad litem for children.
I want to ask you the same question. What could be better? What could have been done to make this easier for you to care for 250 children? But I also want to ask what might have been done so that you might not have had to care for those 250
Maybe
children?
some prevention services could have been done, or if they had if they were able to go to Franklin Wright to get the services from them, then maybe some of these children I wouldn't have wound up in my home.
Well, it's a great event. I've been there at least once to see you do this, and the services that you guys are doing are just phenomenal, and it's it's very important. So thank you for being here and sharing this with us.
Well, thank you for having us, Stephen.
Absolutely.